printed on the capitals of every major nation on Earth. Nothing remains but memories. To avert this tragedy, you need only surrender control of your nation to Cobra. You have till dawn to decide. Sleep on it.
Coming up on Crossfire Collectibles, we're going to customize a G.I. Joe figure subscription service 8.0 Munitia version 2 figure. Stick around. What's up and welcome to Crossfire Collectibles. Today's video, we're going to be customizing on camera a G.I. Joe figure subscription service 8.0 Munitia version 2 figure. So what we have right here are some parts, obviously, and hopefully we will have this looking like this by the end of this video. So what we have in front of you is the parts that we need. I'm not going to go all out with every weapon that the figure comes with. She also has a rifle and a walkie, but you know, if we decide to add them later, we will. But mainly, we need her little pistols here. So I guess we'll go ahead and get to it and start going over these. So first, here is her bladed pistol. She has two of these. These are all in black. As you can see, there is a blade on the front. We do have to customize each of these. There are two of them. Just a bit, you know, we have to put some silver in them blades. Second, we need her head, obviously. So here's a nice flesh cast. We got the pistols and the head from AVAX Lab. If you're a customizer and you're looking for some good stuff, head on over and check out Kobe's stuff. Very cool. I would highly recommend it. I get a lot of stuff from him. It's great. And then as for your figures, so here we have a G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra Agent Helix version 1, which we will need the torso for and the belt. And this figure here, we have the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra Shauna Scarlett O'Hara version 11. For that figure, we need the arms and legs. So, we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. So, let me see. The first thing we need to do is break out our little screwdriver here. So for this, it's pretty simple. We're just going to have to pop out each of these screws on her legs because we need the legs. So twist, twist, twist. One screw out. Make sure you don't lose these screws. Put them aside in a safe place. And then you can simply pop the leg off like that. And now we have one leg down. Flip over to the next one. And we'll pop that little seal and get the screw out of this leg. And get that popped. Get that leg off. And we'll put that aside. So now we're stuck with torso and arms. And if you're a customizer, you know that the arms are not easy to just pull out. So we're going to have to boil and pop this. And I'll show you how we do that. But first, we need to go with the Agent Helix body. So again, we're going to go ahead and remove the screws on the inner thighs. Put them aside. One leg out. And head over to the next. And get that out. Go ahead and pop that leg off. So we'll set that back down. And now we have a torso. Alright, so this belt is not easily removable. So once she boils up a bit, it'll loosen the plastic and we'll be able to just pop that right off because we have to paint this belt as well. I mean, I do kind of dig the belt, even though the belt is blue for the figure. I like that silver on there, so I don't know if I want to keep that or just paint it all blue. I haven't decided yet. But we're going to go ahead and get these figures boiled and popped, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, now for the boil and pop process, we're heading over to the stove. What we have here is a small saucepan. We got it filled about 3/4 of the way filled with warm water. We put our heat on medium high, so I got it at 7, so it's going to start to bring it up to a boil. Once the water's pretty hot, you don't need to really let it boil, but you want to get the figures, the plastic on them to be nice and, I guess, a bit flexible and loose. So we're simply going to take each figure, and drop them right on in to the water and let them sit for a few minutes, and then we'll take them out and I'll show you the next step. All right, so now that we've had them figures sitting about 3 minutes, the water is starting to sizzle a bit, so they're getting a little hot. We're gonna go ahead and just take a small fork and we're gonna scoop the figures out one by one. And I have this little towel over here set aside just to lay the figures onto. As you can see, they're a little steamy. I'll try to move these a little bit closer so you guys can see a little bit better. And next, we're gonna simply take a figure and lightly wrap it in the towel. And for popping them, I like to use a pair of channel locks. So we're simply gonna open this up a bit, take the channel locks, line them up to the figure's shoulders, and then you're gonna give it a squeeze. You should feel or hear a small pop, and when you do, you know that the figure has popped. And then you'll be left with something like this. So the torso has come apart, the arms are off. We need just the torso, so we can take these pieces out. And the belt should be nice and soft to be able to slide right off. Just like that. Repeat the process for the second figure. All right, so now we take the figure, put the second torso in the towel, line up the channel locks, and give it a squeeze. And she will have popped as well. And voila, we got our parts. Now we'll let these dry a moment and we'll head back to the table. All right, now that we have our boiled and popped parts, we went ahead and sat these on a paper towel and put them on a paper plate. We're gonna go ahead and go through this and get out the pieces we need. So we need the lower torso of Helix and that little plug piece. We need the upper torso and the back and the belt. So set these off to the side. And then we're stuck with the Scarlet torso, Helix arms, just over here. And then we got the Scarlet arms, which we will also need. So now we'll put that extra piece here. We'll bring out the Scarlet legs. And we'll go ahead and move the plate out the way. I think these are dry by now. So we'll show you all the parts that we need to make the body, and here they are. So you just have, you know, some simple arm and leg swaps, and that's pretty much it. But now to get them together, first we're gonna need to paint them. So while we have some tools over here, I'm gonna go ahead and break out some markers and show you what we have. All right, first for our silver, we have some Gundam markers. We have two different types here. This is more of a mirror chrome, and this is kind of just a regular metallic silver. As you can see, this one is GM05, a 250 marker, and this one is GM177. Both are nice. This is really good if you want to do like Viper Mass or Cobra Commander domes, you know, either way. But this is more of the metallic silver, and I think we're probably going to go ahead and use this one, even though I did think about this one, but I'm probably going to pass on that. So we'll put that one aside, and we'll show you that marker when we get to it. Next up, for our blue spots, we have another Gundam marker, and this is GM168, and this is a blue to give, you know, the little highlights on her belt, the leg strap, and her shoulders. Next up, another Gundam marker, and here we have the GM3001, a 250 marker, and this is a black pour marker. We're going to use this to color in some of the areas that need to be blackened. Up next, we have a Real Touch pink, and we'll be using this for her lip definition. And then finally, we have an acrylic neon green marker for her goggle lenses. All right, now that we pretty much have everything together, we're gonna go ahead and start with the upper front of the torso, and this being our chest. So we just have to fill in the yellow and the gray and black. That's basically it. So we'll take our black Gundam pour marker here, open that up, and then we'll simply start getting to it. Alright, so there we have it. We have the upper front part of the torso painted, like the black is all filled in over the yellow and gray. So we're going to set that down and let that dry a moment, but we're not finished with that one yet. We do have to come back to it. So now we're going to come over to the upper back piece of the torso, and we have to color in the yellow with black. Alright, and now the upper back piece of the torso is black. So you probably will get some paint on your hands. You know, it happens. It washes off, so it's not a big deal. And now we're going to go ahead and do the lower part of the torso, and that should be it until we have to move to the arms and legs. Alright, so now we have the lower part of the torso painted in black. I went ahead and I decided to keep some of the silver on the top, but I went over a lot of the silver on the bottom part of that torso. Don't really feel like I need it, so we just went ahead and got rid of it. So now next up, we have the arms. Now the arms are fairly already a black, but they're not the black we need. You know, these still have some, I guess some weathering, you know, a bit of gray. Just a little bit of a mess in here. So we want to try to straighten these out some. And what we're going to do is paint these black as well. But we need to save those gauntlet pieces on her forearms and the shoulder pieces. We're going to put the black on first, and then we'll put the silver on the gauntlets and the blue on the shoulder pads. All right, so now we have the arms painted. And then last up, before we head on to, I guess, the regular accessories, like the belt, will be the legs. Now the legs, again, are pretty much already done. The only thing we have to do is paint these feet. But I'm going to go ahead and throw some black on the thighs to fill out some of that gray, because the gray is kind of standing out a bit, and that should be a pretty quick process. Okay, so now we have the gray on the legs filled in with black. All right, next up, I think we're going to go ahead and we're just going to let these dry a little bit, because, you know, they are a little damp. You know, you can get some paint on your fingers like I have right here. But I think we're going to go ahead and move on and put the silver on the blades on the guns. Since that part's pretty simple, we're going to go ahead and just shake up the silver marker. And give that a dab. And then we're going to go ahead and apply the silver to the blade. Okay, so we have the silver on the gun 1 done. You got to go back with the black if you ever need to. I went over in a few spots like right here. I'll simply just touch that up with the black. And then we'll have to go back over and touch up the silver that we just went over a bit on. I'm actually not wearing glasses for this one. I normally do. But I would recommend it if you need to see a little bit closer. But you simply go in and just touch up your errors, and you're good to go. So I think that's all we need for that. And then get a grip on this. Pop the silver open one more time just to get that slight edge right here where we hit a little bit of black. and done. That's it. So we'll just set that aside, let that dry, and then we'll go ahead and do bladed pistol number 2. All right, so bladed pistol number 2 finished. I think I chose a pretty decent sheen for the silver, and it turned out pretty well. So next, we're gonna go ahead and break out the blue. So with the blue, we have to do the shoulder pads, the right thigh strap. It's just a pouch with a strap on it. And we have to do the belt, or the belt pouches at least. So we're gonna go ahead and shake this up. All right, now that's shaken up, we'll give it a little dab to get a little bit coming out. So with the belt, mainly just the pouches are blue. I believe I'm going to try to leave the rest of the belt black, and then you have your, little silver buckle, but I want to try to color these pouches in. I'm going to go ahead and get in on these inner edges and get them blue. Okay, so for the most part, we have the pouches all in blue. There's little areas I got to do some touch-ups on, and I'm going to go ahead and run that black around the edges of them just to get the silver that the factory went ahead and went over on the belt, because I did go up a little bit with the blue on some of them. I'm just going to set those down and let them dry a little bit, because, as you can see, I got some blue on me from that. But I'm going to go ahead, and now I think it's time to break out the glasses. So I'm going to throw these on. So now the right leg of the figure has a small strap, and I'm simply going to just paint that blue. So we have that one on. So there we have our pouch. So as you can see, I kind of fogged up for a brief second when I was putting the blue on the strap on the inner side. So I have to get back on and touch that up. So let's go ahead and break out the black real quick just to give that a little touch up on there. Just right across there. That's pretty much it. So now we need to do the shoulder pads. So we'll go ahead and start with one of the arms. And I think we'll go with this one. And we just need to basically color in that top shoulder part blue. All right, one down. I'll move on to the next. All right, so now we got that shoulder pad blue. Now what I was noticing as I was painting that is there's some factory flaws around the edge of that. There's some like dips and just some plastic didn't get set properly in there, so it looks like there's some cracking around the edge of that shoulder pad. That's okay though. It's on the back, so you don't really see it that well. But we're gonna go ahead and get that down. And now we're gonna go ahead and bring the head out. So what we need to do with this is we need to paint them inner lenses like a neon green. Got to get them goggles silver and the rest of it in black. So I think first we should go with the black, because that'll be, your main layer. So I don't think I need to worry about the back of this just yet. I'll worry about the top, and then I'm going to not paint this so I can hold on to it, and I'll just get to that piece last. But what mainly we want to do is get around those goggles and get the entire piece of the dome all colored in black. So we got that top piece of the dome colored in. So we're gonna go ahead and set the black back down for a moment. Before we move on, we're gonna go ahead and break this silver back out. And now that the blue is a little bit dry on the arms, we're gonna go ahead and color in those gauntlets. So let's get to those. One down. So you really probably could pop the hands off, before you do this to make it a little easier, especially around the bottom edging. I didn't, but I think I got it, so it's okay. Might have to do a little touch-ups with some black, but apart from that, it's going pretty smooth. All right, and arm number 2 down. So next up, we're gonna go ahead, while we have the silver out, and go ahead and try to mess with these feet. This is gonna be a bit of a pain. Like, again, I should have popped those feet out, you know, before I got to this, but we'll just have to do this kind of easily and one side at a time. So we're just simply gonna start with the back, you know, especially we'll go over that hinge and get that colored in, get around the ankle part, and just kind of color that in. But that's what we're going to do for each side for now, and then we'll go back to it and get the front so we can actually move that foot up. All right, so there's one. And whoever, I guess the designer, the painter who does these, I don't understand, you know, some of the pieces they use and some of the colors they use. But, you know, I guess it worked for most of them, and it's the piece that we're going for, so we're just kind of imitating that look. All right, so now we'll come back to those. And now, while we only need to get into the silver one more time, and that'll be to do the goggles and then finish up the boots. But we're gonna go ahead and break out the green, and we're gonna get the inner goggles done. All right, so now we're simply gonna try to get in between these lines and add a little green in there. It's okay if we go a little over because we're gonna go back over this with the silver. But luckily the silver can just kind of be brushed straight over. But we gotta get those inner pieces filled in. All right, and that's pretty much it for the green. So we're gonna set that down, try to let that green dry a moment. And then we're gonna move back over to the belt, break the black back out, and touch it up. So like I said, I think I'm going to keep the belt black as opposed to all blue like the figure actually had, because I kind of like that. I think it looks cool. But yeah, I think just the pouches can be blue for this. That should be fine. So I think that's going to do it for the belt. Set that back down, let that sink in. And then I'm going to break these arms back out and see if there's any areas I got to touch up with this. And make sure I didn't get any on the hands. Looks good on that side. Move over to this one. Got a slight bit right there. And a little around the back of the hand here. Just touch that up. And that should do it. Alright, so now, while we let the green is probably what's going to take the longest to dry, so I don't want to put the silver on that just yet. I'm going to go ahead and see about these feet. Are they dry yet? And for the most part, they're pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and bend that hinge forward. And we're going to break our silver back out, and we're going to finish off these boots. All right, I think that'll do it for boot 1. Now, we do have a small Joe stand here. I'm simply going to plug that foot right on into here. Good enough. It'll stay like that for a minute. A little bit of silver got on the stand, but that's all right. We'll go back and fix that later. So now we're going to go ahead and turn the hinge the other way on this one, and we'll get this one painted up. So that's done. We're going to put the silver aside for a moment, and we're going to try to stick this foot to the stand and see if we can get it without, making a mess. All right, so now that we have the feet put aside, we're gonna take the silver one more time and attempt to do these goggles. So this is probably gonna be the bitch of the bunch. Gotta get in real close around those edges. I don't wanna mess it up. So let's see what we can do. All right, so that was a little bit of a pain. I got a spot or two over here I got to touch up, but we're gonna set that down and let that dry. And while we do that, before we finish off with the back of the head itself with that flap, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this figure together. So first we will go ahead and bring out the torso. So we need the upper back first, and we will get the arms and go ahead and put them in. So we get our right and our left side, and have that prepared over here. Then we want to take the bottom part and bring out our belt so we can get that fed back onto it. Now this is not as loose as it was before because it was like heated up and had some flexibility. Now it's pretty stiff. So we're simply just going to try to gently ease that back over this lower piece to get back down into that upper waist ridge like we just did right here. Didn't pop, we're in good shape. So there we go. So before we move on, I want to go ahead and we want to get out some glue. So that way, when we put this torso together, we don't have any issues and it doesn't crack apart and all that good stuff. So no need to go super fancy. Right here, I just have some Loctite professional liquid. We want to go ahead and get this lower torso lined up to the back of the upper torso. And get this little piece plugged on right here. And we'll lay that on there, so that way you have a fairly easier and nice smooth joint. I'm gonna kind of straighten this arm out, bend that hinge a bit. So we want to get this all lined up so that way when we go to put the top piece of the torso on, it all goes right into place. So straighten up the bottom one. Get this arm straightened up some. And try to stick that on. Now we're going to take the top part of the torso, and this will happen when you boil and pop a lot. These little tabs will actually break. So we're just going to go in and gently put some glue over some of the area that looks stressed or broke, just so it has a little extra hold. And you don't need too much, just around certain spots. Definitely don't put it in, the openings for the joints, because then you'll be stuck with, some arms that won't move. Get that put on, and then we're just gonna snap on the upper torso like that. So that should be on. Give it a little squeeze and hold it, 30 seconds or so to let that glue harden and get them joints nice and tight together. All right, so now I think we got that glue, hardened. Doesn't look like the torso is popping apart, which is good. You definitely don't want that. So now we have that part assembled. We need to go ahead and close this glue up. And then we were going to go back in on the torso a bit with minor touch-ups for the blue on the shoulder. So you have a little piece right here we got to go over. That's one thing when the paint is not entirely dry and you put some finger pressure on there, it can cause some smudging, and you don't want that. And then we're going to take out the black one more time. And I see a spot up here on the top of the neck I missed. I'll just go ahead and lightly go over that, get that filled in. And then there we go. So torso, I think for the most part is finished. You could put a silver line for the zipper as Munitia has. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. It's very, very small, right in the front, right here, right in the center. So we'll just go ahead and lightly put a small bit of silver. Right there. So now it looks like she has a zipper that's kind of hidden underneath those shoulder straps. And we'll close that back up. And now I think these feet should be fairly good to go. Let me see. So now we're going to go ahead and take the upper inner thighs and we'll slide those into place. And then we'll pop on the left leg first and get that plugged in. We're going to need to bring our screwdriver and our screws back out. So we're going to get that loaded up. And we'll stick that on in and tighten this leg in like that. So there's leg one. And we'll bring out the second. That hinge popped up. Pop the upper thigh back through. Now we're going to get the figure's upper right thigh. Snap that on. And then get the outer piece and lower clipped on like that. Let her chill for a second while we grab another screw. Line that up, and then we're going to go ahead and screw this in. So you don't need to go too tight, pretty simple, just like that. And then I think we're good to go with the weapons. They should be nice and dry, so we'll get them out the way. And now the body is pretty much assembled, pretty much done with that one. So we're going to set her back aside for a moment. And then we need to bring the head back out, and we have to finish darkening in these this flap that's coming from her mask up here. So let's get the black one more time, and then we'll do our final run. All right, real quick before we do any more, we're running out of finger room here. I'm going to go ahead and attach the head. So some of these heads, they won't exactly pop onto the ball joint on the neck, so you might need to Dremel them out. However, this head is pretty good, and it seems to pop right on with ease. You heard that nice little snap. The neck color is a little lighter than the flesh tone that they use for the mold, but that's okay. I'm good with it. But now I'm going to go ahead, and while this is attached, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the black around this little flap here. All right, so we got that little head flap colored in. Still a bit damp. Minor touch-ups again with the silver, just around the back of the strap for her goggles. And then we'll see what we got from there. All right, that'll do it. So let's go ahead and clean this up a bit. We're gonna go here and get her geared up with her pistols here. Okay, so now that we have her all geared up, we just have one finishing touch, and that is to break out the Gundam Pink Real Touch, and we'll give her a little bit of lip definition. So let's pull the figure up. Try to get a good view. Lightly go in. Add some of that pink around the lips. And that should do it. So I think we are finished with all that. So now we are going to go ahead and throw her up on the turntable, and then we will give you some final thoughts.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Be sure to check out our previous videos. A link will always be pinned in the comments.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, and here you have it, everybody. The G.I. Joe figure subscription service 8.0 custom Munitia figure. Very cool, man. So Munitia version 2, she's done. We don't need to have the I guess the carded version taken out of the package, you know, now that we have this custom. I think it's an okay job. I added my own touches to it in a few spots, especially with the belt. I wanted to keep the belt all black instead of blue. I think it sits a little bit better, you know, it looks a little more, you know, realistic. The blue in there kind of throws things off. I think the hardest part was definitely around the goggles. That was kind of tough to get into, you know, just go back and doing a few touch-ups, you know, it's fine, it worked out perfectly. I did not add the walkie or the Baroness gun rifle, you know, whatever that she comes with. So I just want to give her these two pistols. I think that's fine. The figure actually has nowhere to hold the other stuff, so it's totally cool just to have her wielding these two, and good to go. Back when these were, you know, $100 a piece, you know, it would have been nice to go ahead and make your own customs at all times. So this video would have been perfect for that. You know, just go out and buy some fodder lots. I actually still buy fodder lots. I usually look for good ones, you know, that run between 50 and 100 bucks a piece. You know, you can get anywhere from 30 to 70 figures in there, depending on who the seller is, depending what pieces are in there. Luckily, one of the lots I got recently had a Scarlet and Helix bodies, which you see here. So I was able to go ahead and use that. And thanks to Kobe, I spent 10 bucks, grabbed a couple of these pistols and the head, and now we got a Munitia figure that's loose and customized. And one of the good things about customized figures for you is you take more pride into, you know, the enjoyment of having them. You do the work into building them, you do the work into painting them, you know, doing what you need to actually bring that figure, you know, to life. Not to life, but technically, you know, to your collection. I didn't really have too much I wanted to add in here to make it unique. Like I said, the belt, that was about it. The rest of it, I just kind of mirrored the Hasbro figure. And I think it turned out pretty well. So I hope you guys like this. If you guys did, you give me a huge amount of love on the Snake Eyes video. We do have another Snake Eyes coming up, and probably a third. I want to mess around with a couple of these heads, and I'll see which one looks best. But I'm going to keep doing some custom figures. Please keep watching them, giving me love, and I really appreciate y'all's support. But so I think that's going to do it for this one. This took a few hours, so I enjoyed it though. But if you like what you saw, please, like always, leave that giant thumbs up, subscribe, tickle that bell so you're notified when we post future videos. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.